Hey,
Hi, Nacho. Thank you for accepting my invitation and accepting to be on my show.
no problem. Thank you very much for having me.
So I've gone through your profile. I can see you're doing a lot of work. So I thought to tell about your work to my audience.
Well, thank you for inviting me. And uh, I don't know, I can actually tell that I'm an engineer, let's say, a principal software engineer right now. And well, I've been focused and working with web and Java technology since I don't know how long before before the 2000s. So it has been, I would say quite a while.
So can you please introduce yourself to my audience?
Oh yeah, sure. So I'm Nacho. I'm a principal software engineer. I work at Dynatrace, and I've been working with Java and web projects since before probably the 2000s, or before more than 25 years ago. So I've been working with a lot of technology since then. And I'm also passionate about I don't know, working with teams and also to help others to, let's say, build better software. That's mainly me, I would say.
So when I asked you for the interview, you said you especially want to talk about test-driven development and domain-driven design and extreme programming.
Yep, I'm really, let's say, excited about those topics because they let's say they help you to let's say improve and to build software in the way that many people do not know, that are, you know, having some issues where building software, and depending on the situation, depending on the team, many different practices, many different approaches can help you in order to minimize the problems and also deliver something without, let's say, the pressure or the problems to having conflicts or things that could actually be, let's say, designed in some way that could make the things the life easier for you and your teams, basically. And yeah, there are different ways to approach different problems. Always is this is the beauty of our, let's say, of our job, right? But TDD helps you in one area. DDD is another wider topic. So I don't know which one is more relevant for you, which one you like the most, because we can, I don't know, I can stay all the day talking about it. So
So you can start with the first one.
TDD you mentioned.
Yeah,
Okay, so
test-driven development.
test-driven development, I think, is one of the biggest, or one of the, let's say, practices that many people do not like or do not understand properly. And that's one of the reasons why also people do not, they don't see the benefit of using it, because probably they used or they try some day. And in that case, it's, I would say there are many cases where people are struggling with this, but it's not so easy to apply. So it depends actually on how difficult is your code base, how difficult is the relation with your day to day, let's say, and how difficult is to solve an issue in your code, and how many abilities do you have with your software. I mean, engineering practices, right? So working with code that is difficult to maintain, that has some issues, that is difficult to debug, that you don't know what is going on, etc., you will struggle trying to apply TDD there, because if you cannot actually validate that the code is working as expected, how you can actually then introduce a test? This is is more difficult depending on the situation. So that's why many people say, oh, this TDD thing is working for me in a simple like scenario, simple kata, simple exercise, but it's not working in the reality. Well, I'm working in many different projects and I've been working many years, and I can tell you it's possible to use it. It's possible to apply it, but you have to take care of many different things when you start it, and when you create a different functionality, when you add a new thing. Basically, many people are used to work in the way of, look, this is what we want to build, when we want to achieve, and then later we create some tests. If we create tests, right? And do it in the other way around, give you more benefits instead. for example, you are going to build exactly what you need based on your test. It means that if something is not specified, you're not going to do anything. I mean, you probably don't need to create a test if that is not driven by a specification of that. And this is really beautiful in terms of not working more than you need. This is one of the benefits also to that applies to TDD. That is also super nice to know the things that you actually have to do, because you're always based on a test. So you can always ask, okay, we have to do this. Okay, how we are going to demonstrate that this is working? And this is probably more related to a scientific approach, no? Like this is what we want to achieve, how to do that, and then also demonstrate that this is working. If you start with this approach, it's, I would say, easier to understand that the software is a pure language, no, when you actually run some instructions, and as well you can demonstrate that this is working as you expect. And there are many other benefits, like instant feedback. Normally, when you build software, you realize how difficult it is to do something. And then after a while, you can actually say, oh, look, this is actually doing something similar for what I want. No? And then you start iterating with this, saying, look, now I have, I don't know, imagine that you have to consume an information from somebody else, and then you start to doing it. And then later, after some time, then finally you arrive to the conclusion, saying, look, this is more or less what I want. But this is probably not something that you can share with others. With TDD, you do it in the other way around. You start by small chunks of things, and then immediately you can deploy this, because every single change is driven by a test, which means that in every single time, if you are in green, let's say, you can always push those changes, which is also a really nice feature, saying, okay, I only have this, but you can actually use it, because it's already working as expected. I know, probably I never arrived to the final picture, but at least I have this small thing that you can try. And this is the small iterations and the more, let's say, work that step by step TDD gives you a huge benefit versus doing the code and then later, oh, I forgot to do the test. Imagine that in the middle, how many use cases, how many problems, how many things that you have to identify in the middle of a story. There are many, no, depending on the complexity of things. And that's one of the other benefits of applying TDD. That is, okay, let's start with a simple approach. Let's deliver things and then iterate and do small steps. This is one step, another step, and then going to the direction of the functionality is easier to approach this and to use this, and also as well to share with others, because you can actually prepare the things in a small chunk, let's say. Feedback is immediate, is also important in terms of, okay, I'm working in some functionality, another colleague is working on something else that, for example, we have to share. And if you do it in that way, you can actually think in skeletons, let's say, in something that is already covered by tests, saying, look, this is what I'm going to do, this is what you're going to do. And also those things are going to be evolving by tests, which means you will have your colleague always doing things in green and you the same thing, which also will give you the benefit of working with the things in parallel, which is also more benefits in terms of developing faster, easiest, and with less, let's say, friction. Yeah, I still don't understand how people say that TDD is not for me. Probably, well, I've been in that situation, let's say, and in my case, it happened that I was not having the comfort of the culture around me, or the team, or even the project, no, where you can actually stay longer, you can think about the things, and also your, let's say, boss, your manager can understand that you might need some time to, for example, put tests around the places where there are no tests. No, those things can be difficult to explain to your stakeholders. Hey, look, I'm trying to do things here, but as you can see, it's impossible to do anything because I cannot understand anything, and I cannot change things without breaking. I cannot ensure that I'm not going to break anything. If you do it in the other way around, started by tests, the idea is that basically everything that you are going to be able to change will be driven by tests, which means everything should be easily changed. And this is another beautiful thing, that, if I forgot something, some test will tell me, hey, Nacho, you forgot something. Here you can see the verification and say something is wrong. You forgot something, or you are missing any particular thing to change it. And that's the beautiful thing about not having everything in your mind, right? I rely always in tests that then can tell me, oh, something is wrong. You forgot to do that, Nacho. You forgot that signature. This failed. This, I don't know, whatever you want. This API, well, you change it this, but you haven't changed the signature or whatever. Because at the end, I'm relying always on tests. Test tells me that I can sleep every night, that I'm not, breaking almost anything, and also give me the comfort of doing changes in a flexible way, which is really nice, I would say.
And what do you say about domain-driven design?
Domain-driven design, yeah. This is another, let's say, important, definition where many people also explain the benefits of applying it. I've been in different projects in different areas, understanding how to approach and how to deal with it. And the idea of this is basically to define domains and define areas where you and your team already knows where you are located, and the domains under the ones you are the owners. And it means that then you have to realize that you have also contracts with others and layers where you have to put some, how to say, limits between groups and departments. And because at the end, what happens normally is that you match a department, an organization that has one department, and normally you match this to a team that could actually implement this. And related to that, there are many ways to apply and to use DDD. But based on this approach, I would say there are cases where the failure, so the success of this result is normally a bit difficult, because you normally match the organizational structure based on that, and then you apply those definitions on the code. And normally those cases are not exactly the same. You will have actually things that are shared with other departments, or depending on the context, the picture of one entity or one element is one thing, but in another one is actually another picture. For example, the user in one department is one thing, the user in the web is another thing. And it will be exactly the same topic, the same definition, let's say, but for one group of people is the user of the web hasn't, for example, doesn't have anything about probably, I don't know, an invoice, for example. But from the perspective of the accountability and the money and the finance, the user probably is more close to the client, no? The person that is already paying for the service. And these definitions about the same thing in different ways makes a lot of noise, and it's so difficult to explain to others. That's why domain-driven design helps you to define those rules and define ownerships in different groups and different layers and different, let's say, areas where you can actually much better understand the clear definition of what I understand about a particular element in one place and another in another place.
And how this model, this methodology can solve today's problems?
Well, the thing is that those methodologies explain some let's say practices and as well some strategies. And the thing is, the key point I think is that there is no only one way to apply. And I think there's a lot of experience that you have to gain and to grab to understand that you have to always, how to say, challenge the definitions of whatever you are working with, or department, or the stakeholders that you're working with, because probably you can actually always have a look and give them another point of view where we are talking about particular use cases. No, I don't know, just billing. No, a simple billing mechanism is not that simple. And also depending on the taxes, depending on the rules, depending on the country, we'll have a lot of different point of view, another huge amount of conditions and a huge amount of regulations around it. That's why, depending on the system, you have to, how to say, containerize the definition depending on the stage where this element it is, or where it's in between the workflow, no, between the life, let's say, life cycle of this element. So those practices helps you to have different perspective of the same entity, of the same actor, and the same point of view. Let's say, no, the same. I would say, yeah, entity is a good name, I would say. where you have to understand it from the different angles, let's say. And this is a difficult thing, I would say, but depending on the area where you are, let's say, implementing some functionalities or just working with some teams, it's mandatory to understand that you are not talking about the same thing, or at least the picture of an invoice in one way has one perspective or another has another perspective. And then you have to apply correctly those strategies and those point of view to explain exactly how this behavior can apply one area and one and another, and also to apply the different points of view. At the end, you have a representation of something that is different from one area or one department to another, and similar applies to other, let's say, even sites or whatever you would like to apply it on software. For example, on mobile, no, I'm thinking right now on how different it is from the perspective of having a screen, no, on a website in a big monitor, a big TV, versus what you have in your mobile. It's completely different, but even the screen is the same, right? So the result is I would like to present some information, but how you present this information and what you are presenting and showing to the user is completely different, because you have to adapt it to the consumer. No, you have to show exactly what is expected from the perspective of a website that I have more information to explain you, to show you, versus what I have in a mobile, which is a limit in terms of size and limit in terms of functionalities, etc. Those are more or less is the idea of working in this mindset of growing the definitions and the explanations on different points of view and areas, basically.
And what do you say about clean code?
Oh, clean code. Everybody likes clean code, I think. But the definition of clean code, I think, is probably one of the terms that have been used in the let's say in the market since I don't remember when, because everybody likes to say I'm working with clean code, right? But suddenly the thing is, when you're starting to have a look on the code, normally it's not that clean, no, because it's clean depending on my perspective. No, I've been working with that so long, so many times, and then I understand it because I wrote many of these things, for example. So my opinion about clean code, I mean, there are many definitions about clean code, etc. But in my opinion, clean code is a definition of if you find, I don't know how many people. That's the point. But if you find, I don't know, 5 people where you can share with them your code, and you can actually they can actually say about your code that is actually, let's say, easy to understand, is easy to maintain, and it's easy to change. Let's say because you have a kind of a clean area where you can just execute any verification where you are safe, let's say. And then I would say that this is clean code in terms of you are able to change the code. You have some land where your code is under the umbrella of some tests and it's easy to change. Then I think it's more or less clean. If more, not only you and your team, already understand it and can have a look. Because then if not, basically it's always the case of having a look on the code that you already know. So if this is the case, then probably it will always be clean for you, even it could be difficult to change. That's why I'm always, eager to share what I did, for example, with other colleagues, just to understand their point of view, saying, okay, Nacho, this is okay for you, but not for me because I don't understand what, for example, are you doing here, no? So if those things arise, it means that your code probably is not that clean, and probably you might need to explain the things in another way or encapsulate the things in another way just to make it more clean, more understandable for others, no?
And what do you say about extreme programming practices?
Oh, stream programming. Stream programming, it's one of the other, let's say, famous practices and yeah, from the Agile's perspective, that everybody, let's say, likes to apply, or at least many people have read about it. And I think, in my opinion, there is a differentiation between the companies that are being applying string programming techniques and the ones that are not. And because there are many things that are being described in there in the, let's say, stream programming techniques from Ken Beck, if I don't remember correctly, from the book from Ken Beck. And basically all the things that I've been applying there, it gives you a lot of benefits. So, for example, having your customer clear to the let's say closest, with your team, it has a lot of benefits in terms of you don't need to ask somebody else who is a proxy that could actually understand one thing based on another people that, having the customer close to you gives you a lot of benefits in terms of having this conversation about what the customer wants, what are you going to do, and also having this feedback, for example, immediately, or at least as shorter as you can. Those things give you a lot of benefits in terms of the code that you're going to write is going to be actually driven by a requirement, driven by somebody who can actually is asking for that. And this is also really a real benefit. But there are other practices, TDD, you mentioned before, that are also explaining stream programming. And there's a lot of benefits about applying it. There are others like refactoring. Refactoring is one of the other powerful, let's say, techniques where you can just change the code. We commented before, no, about what is clean code. No, refactoring is one of the techniques that can help you to make changes in your code without affecting the behavior. It means that you are gonna do and put your code better in theory. If you do some changes without changing the behaviors, because you're making your house much beautiful, no, much cleaner. And that's other beautiful and powerful techniques. There are many others like continuous integration and simple design, for example. So continuous integration gives you the opportunity to every single change that you do, you can actually try to deliver it to production and to real systems, let's say, as fast as you can. Because with this approach, you're not going to do having kind of a intermediate steps where you have to wait, or probably you don't know what's going on in the middle until this change arrives to the real system. Arriving to a system where you can actually have continuous delivery could represent you having more feedback or faster feedback, which means that every single change that we can do, we can see it as fast as we can in a real system, and then we can check how it's behaving. One thing is having it, let's say, built, design it somehow, and also test it somehow in one specific case. But also another thing is to arrive to production and say, look, this is already available in my customers, and do it in the minimum amount of time that you can. So about the simple design, I commented. There are many projects, many cases where many people have been, let's say, struggling with a system that grows and grows and grows, without no limit. Simple design strives for having the simplest approach that you can always, no matter if it's something that probably in the future, no future, right? Just what we want to do now is keep it simple always, which means that something that we can actually think about that in the future we are going to do it. Let's do it when this moment arrives. So if something is going to happen, it's okay. But right now we are going to focus on the actual behavior, and actual behavior means keeping the things simple, keeping the minimum, let's say, complexity that we need for building something. And that's a difficult thing. I completely understand. In many projects, in many companies, they have, for example, roles dedicated to designing a complex situation, like many companies have the role of architects, for example. And they normally try to design a complex system in terms of what we will have in the future. But how to arrive to the future is also a story, right? So probably, I don't know, we will need to have, I'm wondering, Kafka, we're going to have RabbitMQ, we're going to have those kind of databases, NoSQL, we are going to deploy in multi-cloud, etc. But for the day-to-day, until you arrive to this, you're going to do small steps, until arriving to having this complex system. The approach to this is basically to do it in simple, small steps where you can actually provide simple scenarios. Just this is the example thing, this is the approach that we have to do, no more than this, and we're going to fix it, let's say, or solve it as simple as we can, just to demonstrate that this feedback is always, let's say, faster, smallest, and then arriving to the systems and the destinations as far as we can. Many other practices in stream programming are, adding more other benefits, but for me, I think those are one of the best, I would say.
And tell me, you as founder of Barcelona Java users group.
Yep. Yeah, I'm actually the founder of Barcelona User Group, and I'm really proud of it. I mean, Barcelona is a really, let's say, tech city, and I've been for a while been working with Java as well. Well, I don't remember, 20 years probably, and more than 20 years. And I've been always thinking that there should be. You remember when I started, there was no internet. So there was always the possibility to having a problem, and I have to post a message in those moments where there were only forums somewhere, and you have to ask a question there, and then basically somebody could actually reply, etc. But the access to the information was not as we have it right now. And at that moment, I was always wondering how others were doing exactly, solving some problems or dealing with other things, etc. And from that perspective, I was always looking for others and connect with others to understand how are you doing things, how are you approaching solving problems, how you connect with other, peers. And that's the main reason I would say that why I try to create a space where all the people can actually meet and talk about technology and talk and learn about others. That's mainly the Barcelona Java user group. A group of people, that a community where people can join and learn about different things related to technology, about talking about, doesn't matter the topic, but what we do basically is organize events that are free, and all the people can join us by just going to a meetup and then join us and see what we can do on the next event. And we do events related to, I don't care. I mean, we don't care about the technology. We are always curious about what will come next. And we have been talking about, I don't know, AWS. We talk about Git. We've been talking about agile methodologies. We meet for doing a workshop around, I don't know, Camel or whatever. So that's the main thing about having this space. Everybody can be safe there and can ask questions, can learn about new stuff, and can also share what I learned from my last project or my last team on that technology, for example. And this is also, I think, a really, let's say, beneficial place where everybody can be there just by learning by doing, and also to be in a space where you can be comfortable with other peers asking, for example, for looking for a job is also another possibility. So at the end is a space where everybody is free and has the freedom to attend and also to ask questions or to share with others. And this is I would say, really beneficial in terms of the people that have been in there, and also the people I met since the very beginning. So if I have to try again, I will try to recommend all the people to connect with other people and also to create a community like this, because can give you a real benefit in terms of growing, in terms of connecting with others, and also in the future, who knows, probably your job is waiting, for there, or your next opportunity, or the next colleague that can give you a simple idea for something that you haven't understand, but somebody else can help you on that. So the power of the community, I think, is, let's say, really impressive in terms of building this, let's say, space.
And tell me, you as a co-founder of JBCNconf.
Yeah, JBCNconf is another, let's say, big effort that we started. How was this? 2015, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, that was the first edition. So JBCNconf was the Java and JVM Barcelona conference that we started to organize, like 8 years ago. And we started because basically we were doing those events that I was mentioning with the Barcelona Java community regularly, 1 or 2 events per month without, let's say, no problems. And what happened there is like we were actually really regular in terms of not, let's say, having any week or any month without any event. And somebody told us, well, a friend told me in a barbecue, hey, we have already those events happening. Why we cannot do something bigger? And we said, but it means something bigger. Yeah, just gather all the people instead of every month, just in 1, 2, 3 days in a place like an event, like a big conference, and then everybody can fit there and having a chat and enjoy the event, etc., and also having different talks at the same time. And by that time, I was unemployed, and I thought, well, and I was waiting for my daughter was going to born, and yeah, I thought, why not? I mean, at the end, it's like I was looking for what will be next, my next adventure, and I thought could be a really good adventure in terms of understanding which kind of companies are there that could actually come as a possible sponsor of the conference, but as well I can find opportunities probably by connecting other people and also talk to others in those 3 days, those 2 or 3 days, where actually I can learn from other speakers the technology that is coming or the next thing that I have to have a look. But as well, it can give me the opportunity to connect with other companies and also probably, look for my future. And this is exactly what happened. I started with other colleagues to create a nonprofit organization, and we created that. We found a place, we gathered some money, and also we organized the event. So at the end, that's why we started the JBCN conference and how this event started. That was more than 8 years ago. And now, well, last year was the last edition of JBCNconf, and with one of my colleagues, we founded DevBCN, which is, let's say, the rebranding of JBCNconf. Now, we're not only talking about Java, not only Java and JBCN Barcelona conference, but also we included other topics. We included a lot of DevOps topics. We included a lot of Kubernetes. We included a lot of Python, big data, AI, machine learning, front end, you name it. So we gather more than 1,000 people. In fact, this month, like 2 weeks ago, more or less. And it was a really, I think it was a huge, event in terms of having a lot of developers being there, enjoying talks, and also gathering with others, and also, having also a great, big amount of people, big amount of speakers, I would say, that been sharing their knowledge around, Kubernetes or whatever topic you mentioned. This is really great in terms of ecosystem, in terms of understanding how for the developers are still a world of things that you can actually learn from any case. And those are the things that I enjoy the most. So JBCNconf is not anymore a thing, but we have DBCN, which is the future of JBCNconf.
And tell me, you as a Java champion.
Oh yeah, I've been. I think it was last year. Last year, I became nominated as a Java champion, and I have to say I've been thinking about it some day, but like years ago, thinking, okay, I've been dedicated a lot of my time and my career on Java, and also trying to grow this Java community, the Barcelona Java community that I mentioned, and also I deliver some talks, and I've been also helping others to grow in that direction. And I thought, well, at some point, probably, who knows, I would like to know how somebody can, I don't know, how to know. I didn't know how that worked for that time, but I was thinking, okay, at some point, probably I could arrive and being nominated as a Java champion. But never imagined that it was coming, last year. At the end, it's like is how to say, a recognition, right? I understand it like this: a recognition based on the amount of time and hours and effort that you made for helping, visualizing, or just sharing why Java is a really nice ecosystem and why delivering things on Java or working with Java is still a thing. Even many people say that is dead. And I think still there are many things in that are coming in the future. And still, I'm thinking that Java is one of the best languages you can learn from building stuff for your company or for yourself. And yeah, it's a recognition, I would say. Also, it's a really, let's say, responsibility in terms of having something in your, in your arms and your helmet that says, "Hey, you're a Java champion." So be careful if you are not able to reply some difficult questions around Java. So I have to say that I don't know everything about Java. I'm not working at Oracle, but I know a few things around Java. I've been starting working with Java 1.2. Now we are Java 21 that is coming right now. So Java has grown a lot from 25 years ago, but still I have to. I always learn things related to Java. There are things new always. There are GraalVM is one of the biggest projects that are coming. Probably in the future is going to talk a lot of things related to Java, and probably also there will be a lot of things related to AI and machine learning. That Java is still not the ecosystem where the things are happening, but I'm sure in the future Java will have to say something around it. So. Yeah, I'm a Java champion, but I'm also, I don't know, other things. And for me, it's like, having just something else, let's say.
And tell me, you as a principal software engineer at uh,
Dynatrace.
Dynatrace. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, I became principal software engineer. I think it was like 1.5 years or 2 years, and I don't remember now exactly. And yeah, it's basically I've been in the company 3.5 years now, if I'm not wrong. And yeah, I started like a senior engineer, and I started just by working in a specific area related to session replay. That basically is the functionality that gives you the opportunity to record what is happening in your website, and then also to be able to replay that. And I've been actually helping others and in being involved in different other projects and responsibilities. And that's why I think I became, principal. The end is because my responsibility were not only related to this particular module and functionalities, but also helping others and also contribute to other things. And that's my understanding of why, what's the difference between a senior and a principal engineer. For me, principal means not only affecting one group, one area, but also helping to spread, let's say, the knowledge about things in other places, going to a conference and share things, and as well helping others to go in the, let's say, in the better direction as a group and also as a team. And I would say that is a challenging thing. Our company dedicates a lot of effort to understand how other software behaves. And it's interesting because I never, before my experience here, I never been in the world of observability, in the world of understanding how we can behave and analyze other software. And it's really interesting in terms of being curious about what others are doing and how the code are behaving and how you can realize that the things can always go wrong, no? And you can actually um, analyze those things. And this is interesting because you normally focus on building stuff and building stuff without purpose. In our case, we always try to build stuff for analyzing others, which is also an interesting thing, like Sherlock, if you want, in the terms of the software.
So, you as founder of this. So, what do you do exactly?
As a founder of,
Uh, you have founded this group, and what you're doing, especially in this.
in my company right now.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't. I mean, I'm not a founder of Dynatrace. I'm working as an employee in Dynatrace. What I'm doing there here basically is to help others to build better software. We commented before the string programming techniques and domain-driven design. Here you have it. I'm trying to help others to apply those techniques to have a better understanding about their own business, their own model, their own location, and also how those things are related to others, colleagues that might need things from any other reason, like consuming information, getting information, or having a relation with others. And as a principal, also I'm trying to help building new APIs, new components that are relying in, let's say, in one of the core elements that we have in our system, and we are building what we call the third or the next generation of the platform, which means that we are gonna create the new system that will be able to monitor all the things that a company could have in their own ecosystem, which is a great effort. Just imagine analyzing all the things that could happen in your machines, no, in a big company that could have hundreds, if not thousands, of devices, no, or softwares that have been built for handling whatever is their business. So it's a really interesting, let's say, effort, and as well is interesting in terms of understanding the complexity or the difficulties that could arise. No, it's not so easy to handle it, I don't know, 100 requests per second when you are doubling, if not multiplying by 10, this amount of things. Then you have to think about how to scale those things properly and how to design it accordingly.
And what is your observation about my work?
I haven't had time to review it. Where's the purpose of your book?
Have you seen my channel?
Yep. I have seen that you've been actually really active in terms of interviewing many people, and your point of view about your book is about technology, but what exactly about it? So helping others to promote and having better understanding about what the people can do, or
I'm just curious what different people in different country, in different fields and in different professions and different companies are doing, and what projects they are handling and what kind of work that they are doing. I'm just curious to know how they are doing this and how they are solving problems, and what kind of people are there apart from my place. I'm just curious, and I thought, why just me knowing and learning from them? Why can't I put all this work in a single platform where everybody can access and see what I'm questioning and what they are saying and what they are doing? So that is something that idea that I got. Then I interviewed more than 700 people for my channel from in last two and a half year, 2.5 years, and more than 100 countries experts I have interviewed, and also including the vice president of Amazon Web Services Cloud, and also vice president of Salesforce. So a lot of founders.
But those are, I mean, complexities and problems in different countries is just a difficult thing. But imagine those kind of problems with those different, let's say, people and with those roles are by far away of my understanding. I mean, I'm just working with small projects that, yes, are related with many others, but at the end, my understanding is, I mean, I'm working in projects that could affect many others. That's true, but I have only control about the things that are related to mine closely. So I don't need to worry about, I don't know, imagine the person that you were mentioning and the amount of different things that they have to manage and the different complexities that they could have by, I don't know, for different persons, different countries, different regions, different laws, because probably from their perspective, there are things that are completely different. So they have to be completely, I would say, outstanding. I'm not able to imagine that because I'm just a simple developer that understands how to run things in the computer. And from time to time, the computer, helps me understanding things and moving the things forward and helping, changing things via the technology. But I'm not able to imagine the amount of things that they have to deal with and how they solve that kind of thing. So impossible to imagine.
So me interviewing these kind of people who worked in industry for 30 years, 20 years, 40 years, 15 years in different fields. So I interviewed solutions architects, authors, psychologists, also CTOs, CEOs, founders, all kind of people in technology, from engineer to the CEO and the founder level, for from small scale to large scale, all countries almost, from US, all the states, Canada, UK, also a lot of European people. So I have covered all the continents in this last few years. So I did masters in software engineering, bachelor's in computer science and engineering. Right now I'm working for a UK company remotely as an cloud DevOps engineer and a software developer. Apart from that is my full-time role. Uh, uh, Apart from that, I'm interviewing a lot of people from. Also, I interviewed people who works in NASA, space technology, in order to understand how they are solving problems. Uh,
Wow.
when it goes to space. I just want to know how they are able to create that technology with which they are able to communicate from land to the space. So I'm just curious to, very passionate about technology, and not just technology, how technology is working in different countries. Because like you said, different countries have different laws, different people think in different ways, and they have different experiences. They're coming from different backgrounds.
Hmm.
So and also I interviewed a lot of people from the top level in the top companies. Microsoft, a lot of experts from headquarters, Microsoft, also Amazon Web Services from headquarters, also from UK, came to my show, and I tried to explore as many things as possible in the limited time. It's like 1 hour. I
Yes.
tried to ask the main questions. I'm trying to put, there is no such channel that is targeting these kind of concepts, like global technology concepts. So I thought like this is something that just because of internet, you are an expert, you are an experienced technologist, you are into technology from long time. You know how technology evolution happened, and you saw the change, the constant change that is happening in
Hmm.
technology. So today we are in a place where we can able to communicate and connect and share information in fraction of seconds, no matter in which country we are. So we reached it to this point. So I thought like, why just we have to explore things and technology tools or services, products that are working in my country or in my companies, the companies in my country. I just wanted to know, because we have access, and the internet technology is allowing us to explore and do this. So just try to open my wings and go everywhere and talk with a Spain
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
expert
yeah.
today.
I totally agree with you, and in fact, it reminds me. It gives me my memories when I was young, and I don't know. Probably you are so young that probably you don't know. But when the things started, there was a systems where you have to deal. I mean, you have to use the phone, the modems by that time, and they do weird noise where you have to connect to some places, and then they started to sound like, and then the connection to one place was started. Then you have to put the TCP/IP connection in the middle, etc. And then you start to see the first version of, for example, the Amazon search engine, or by that time, what's the other one? All the web. There was another search engine before Google arrived. There was another search engine that was, you can actually search for it from the 80s. And the communication at that level was impossible to imagine that right now we will have. Let's say nowadays I'm talking to you from one side of the planet to another in real time. So I completely understand your point. And if somebody told me, 20 years ago that I was going to have this conversation with you in real time, I would say, you're crazy. This will not be possible. So I don't know what will happen, let's say, in the future, but probably one of the things that will change the way we are doing, or the world how it is right now, is the AI. So I think that is, let's say, the new stuff that is coming is, let's say, difficult to think about how we are going to receive it and how will impact the society. But I'm thinking right now, if you started to use ChatGPT, Copilot, etc., you will have an understanding of how the things are right now. But I cannot imagine from now on 20 years, on 10 years, how we will arrive. Because probably in the future you will, I don't know, you will be able to ask the computer, hey, write me a program that can do whatever, and then test everything, and then deploy it on whatever, and then do it automatically for me. And probably all of these things will happen, and you can tell me right now, no, it will not be possible. Now it's not possible, but probably in 5 years, why not? I mean, and imagine that at the scale, no? Will be like a crazy people. I can imagine people building things like this, because if you're able to talk with a computer and ask things, why at the end you will not be able to do things like that, no? So I totally agree with you, and I don't know what will happen in the future, what will have, no? But it is true that will be amazing. So I totally agree with you, and technology is changing the world as we know, and we will continue to change it as well. We will continue changing it. Yeah.
So when I've done my master's 3 or 4 years ago, when I've done my master's in software engineering, I was preparing for PhD entrance. I want to become a doctorate. I want to have a doctorate degree. Then I need to study all the bachelor's and the master's subjects together. It was like 56 subjects. And one of it is computer networks. Computer networks is one of the subjects which attracted me and which drawn my attention. So I was also, while preparing for the entrance exam, I also studying that subject. I'm trying to write those concepts in my blog, in my website. I'm trying to explain what is router, what is these technology device, and how these packets are transferring, how the information is going from one device to other device. So trying to understand the computer networks. So one day I was sitting somewhere and I was thinking, these computer networks and these computers are interconnected with each other, and information transfer is happening between computers in fraction of seconds. So this is the invention. This is created by human being. This technology is created by human being. This computer network. Maybe he got taught by understanding human networks, like humans being in different places, the human relationships. Humans, wants to communicate with each other, but they are far from each other. So maybe he got that thought, have created something in hand or in the home or something, and he wants to share information from one place to other place. So like that, the multiple devices was created and the information transfer happened being in different places. So before inventing computer networks, the idea was human networks. So understanding, connecting with humans, the people's person, like people's, you have to be a common communicator who can communicate with every computer. In the same way, I went back and I stopped my PhD studies and I created this project, global project, and I'm doing exactly what computers are doing.
Yes,
and,
that's true.
And lot of experts that I interviewed, including the AWS, Amazon Web Services vice president to the Salesforce, like all the top leaders, why they shown interest to come to my show. They felt this is very interesting. This is a global project that you have done. Also interviewing space experts, space technology experts. So they saw something valuable in my content. So they said, this is something that we never saw, and we really encourage you to continue doing and interview a lot of great experts from different parts of the world. So these experts, what they said, being in technology for a long time, 20 years, 15 years, 30 years, 40 years, the majority of the country people that I interviewed said is like communicating with computer is known. Like, what comes, what is the output. If you type this, what.
Exactly.
But in the technology business, when you are talking with, you have to talk with the clients and you have to, it is talking with, communicating with people. That is very tough. You won't get the reaction or the output that you give. in when you are communicating. So that is also something that I want to like make people or human beings think easier, that like you can with this project I'm telling to the world that you can communicate with any person on this planet if you have a type of communication skill. You have to invent, or you have to understand how to talk.
Yep.
So
Yep.
this also shows this definitely helps if I do any AI related projects in coming days.
Yeah, I agree. And also one of the beautiful things, and now you make me curious, and I'm gonna look for some of the interviews that you mentioned in your YouTube channel, because I'm wondering how many things those persons learn from their mistakes, because they make mistakes as we are human beings, and probably they learn few things that in the future, just by talking, you will also listen those, and you will probably, oh, be careful, because somebody told me that someday Microsoft had that issue, or Azure had that problem, or AWS had something, and probably we cannot go in that direction because I know. So that's the beautiful thing, that also by listening to others, you can also grow and learn from others' perspectives, which is also a really good thing. I always enjoy talking to others, when just by sharing and talking. The beauty of learning from others is this one, no, that you can actually explain the things, and um, so yeah, I definitely have to have a look on many of the interviews that you mentioned, because right now you put me some interesting things to have a look, including NASA and all these things. By the way, I have to recommend you, if you haven't talked to people from scientific, there are big computers, for example, supercomputer centers, that could actually be a really great let's say, place to ask for some experts, because probably they can actually tell you what are they doing and how they are solving problems, which is completely different in terms of the perspective of the amount of CPU power that they have, or the things that they're looking for are completely different in terms of how they use technology, for example, which is also, I think, an interesting thing for your audience, probably.
Definitely, I'll try to do this. And
I think if you cannot find somebody, I can actually let's talk about it, because I here in Barcelona we have a supercomputer center, and they have uh, we have a team. I know they have a company already, and many people that have been here, so I can actually, let's say, do the work and then talk to somebody who can actually introduce somebody to you if you are interested.
so after this interview, that interview will be published if
Yeah.
that happens.
Okay.
And being in technology for so many years, you saw the evolution of the evolution of the technology. You saw the change the constant change that has been happening. And today you are seeing something that you have not seen 20 years back in technology. So how this is changing the world. So with this experience, uh, how, what do you say about the collection of interviews that I have done, how this talking with experts are going to helpful for me in talking with computers in coming days?
Oh wow. It's gonna be tough. I mean, it's difficult to explain it, but I think well, depending. I mean, is depending on what you do normally, because it's not the same as applying some problems, some questions to some problems, let's say, in a small scale, that in a huge scale. So as I mentioned, for example, in my experience, I started working in smaller scenarios, in most cases where you can think about, I only have to worry about the system that is behaving with less customers, less users. But when you have a success and your system have to handle, I don't know, a huge amount of requests, because everybody would like to be a user of your system, then the problem scales at the level where the complexity is really, really difficult. And in this regard, having to talk with others probably can give you this perspective of, depending on the level of where we are and the amount of things that we have to take into account, could help you to have some benefits on talking with others and understanding how to solve problems in one scale or another.
Can you share your web links with my audience so that they can learn from you?
What do you want to know? Where can they contact me, or where?
Yeah. Can you share your social presence to my podcast?
Oh, yeah, sure. You can find me on Twitter like Cougil, ICOUJIL. Normally I use Twitter, but I'm also in Mastodon and also on LinkedIn. Nacho Cougil, you can find me as well. I think I don't know, many people can contact me via Twitter or via, well, now it's X. No, I don't know now. X. Elon, say hello, but I don't understand this change. Sorry.
Yeah, X. So can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your permission?
Oh yes, sure. Just I think I haven't made any mistake, or I haven't said anything wrong. So yeah, sure. Why not?
And also, can I put this audio and video clip on my podcast website, internet, social media, everywhere with your permission?
Oh yes, I think you're gonna share it in YouTube or on Twitter, I guess, or something else, some other place. Okay, yeah, I didn't know that you have already well, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, thank you again, Nacho, for your valuable time and sharing some of your experiences and telling about the important topics like the mind is derives thing, and also the different topics which are related to technology.
No problem. It was a pleasure. So I hope you have understand some of the things that I share. And yeah, it was a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you again. Keep going. Keep helping more people and share. I hope your knowledge, the knowledge that you share, will help a lot of people to understand technology.
Well, thank you very much, and good luck with your project. And yeah, see you in the future. Who knows?
Thank you again. Bye.
Bye.